Good morning, everyone. I'm Julien, co-founder and CEO of Bloomlife. It's a women's health company, and our mission is to define a new standard of care in maternal health. We are witnessing a global crisis in maternal health. Earlier this year, in February, the WHO published the latest numbers on maternal mortality, and those numbers are dramatic and alarming. The report shows that still today, every day, 800 women die from preventable causes related to pregnancy or childbirth. And this is a problem which is globally, as you can see, US ranks pretty bad. It's fourth on the chart. So it is a global problem affecting developing and developed world similarly. So why is that? It's nothing new. It is really has a crisis that has been in the making for a couple of decades. And you can see here, it's really due to the fast increasing rates of pregnancy complications. If you look at the last 20 years, why is this increase? It's typically three things. It's maternal age is increasing. So typically, women will have babies later in their in age. We also see an increase in obesity and diabetes and an increase in hypertension. So these are known, chronic conditions that affect the overall population but have dramatic consequences when it comes down to pregnancy. In parallel to that, there is another factor, which is a decreasing number of specialists, so OBGYNs, who are available to care for those women. In the US today, 50% of the counties lack a single OBGYN. So those moms are pretty much either left on their own or they have to travel to another county to seek care. In Europe, we've seen large hospitals closing OBGYN department because they are typically cost-making department in the hospital. So we see this storm of events where you have an increase in pregnancy complications and a decrease in professionals to care for that. So the consequence financially is dramatic. In the US, there is $110 billion spent every year in maternal care. In Europe, that number is $85 billion. And if you look at the impact on large employers, high-risk pregnancies is the number 3 largest expenses in employers, just after cardiovascular and diabetes. Right? The current system is broken. We have to change that. And the way we are trying to think that is to really rethink how we're delivering maternal care. At the core of it is a connected platform, connected care platform that combines connected devices for the mom, a patient app that's going to provide education and clinical surveys. There is a cloud component to it with data analytics that allow to identify certain risk of pregnancy complications, and eventually a clinical layer that is going to analyze the data, of course, and provide the clinical support to the mom. The goal is really here to improve access to care, empower moms, and enable care teams to more easily and efficiently manage maternal and fetal health. At the core of the platform, it's a medical device, which I actually have here. It's a patch that we've developed. It's a connected device. It's adhesive, as you can see here. It goes on the lower part of the belly, as you can see on the picture. And what this device does is really shifting the high-volume fetal non-stress test, so the fetal monitoring that is today done in the hospital. We're shifting it, and we allow the mom to do it from home on her own. So that's really what that device allows to do. What does it measure? You can see there three signals. So we measure maternal heart rate, we measure fetal heart rate, and we measure contractions. So very similar to what would be done at the hospital, except now the mom can do it herself in the comfort of her home. The data goes directly to the hospital so that the doctor can review that. I'm happy to share today that we got FDA clearance for the device a bit earlier this year. So we've got a 510(k) for maternal and fetal monitoring. It covers both home and hospital use, with the data being automatically sent to the care provider for review. And what the 510(k) allows us to show is that we are equivalent to the standard of care, which is the CTG, which is the hospital-based machine, although we do improve comfort and allow that to be done from the home. So what's in it for the patient? Starting there, so for the mom, this type of technology is going to help her reduce in-person visits. Right? So if you look at the high-risk pregnancies in particular, the mom is typically required to go and see her doctor 2 or 3 times a week, and sometimes it's just to take a blood pressure or it's just to take a fetal monitor. Right? There is no reason for the mom to actually go there and travel there. She could totally do that from home. So for her, it's really saving time, saving money of not traveling to the doctors when she doesn't need to. It really simplifies the way she can manage her own pregnancy, especially pregnancy complications, and provide her peace of mind, knowing that her clinical team can actually look over her pregnancy and look over her data when it's needed. On the provider side, it increases revenue, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, mainly because it allows them to see more patients, but also increase the total amount of reimbursement they can get. It also, of course, allows them to identify possible complications earlier on, and eventually we also, and I'll talk about this as well, it improves adherence to clinical guidelines. That's a very important aspect because given the fact that there is an access to care problem, sometimes moms do not get the care that they should get based on the clinical guidelines, and so this type of technology will allow them to actually follow those guidelines. A bit about our business model. So the way we work is that we're an enterprise play, we contract with hospitals, and we generate revenues through reimbursement. We have designed the service so that it fits into existing reimbursement codes. That's something that's we spent quite some time on that a couple of years back to really make sure that we can leverage existing CPT codes. Depending on the pregnancy, there are different services that you can offer. So really more like a service base. So we'll get a prescription for the doctor depending on what he wants to follow for her or his patient. And we leverage 6 CPT codes. The baseline is RPM, so anything, so remote patient monitoring, anything that requires to track a vital over time during the pregnancy will qualify for an RPM. Every time we do fetal monitoring, the test has also a specific CPT code. So every time a test is done, we can build that code, or the doctor can build that code. It's a class 1, a category 1 code, which means that there is no restriction on how many times it's used over pregnancy. So whatever the doctor wants to use, he can order that. And then if there is a clinical oversight needed or clinical interpretation, we also have access to the health teleconsults codes. So depending on the case, we will basically build on those different codes. Our beachhead market is the US, so that's where we're launching now, and that's where we're focusing. And more specifically, we're focusing on high-risk pregnancies. In the US, high-risk pregnancies are 25% of all pregnancies, but they represent 75% of the cost. So it's a total cost to the healthcare systems of $77 billion in the US. There's 3 main reasons that moms are high risk. It could be that they have hypertension, it could be chronic, or it could be gestationally induced. It could be diabetes or mental health issues. So these are the kinds of 3 conditions that we are focusing on. The total market using existing CPT codes only in the US is $2.7 billion a year. We believe that this market can actually grow as we prove the added value in terms of healthcare economics and secure some value-based contract, but I'll speak a bit about that, but that's for later on. Very briefly, so we launched in March with a network of clinics in Arizona as value perinatal services, and I'm happy to present some of the early results we have 6 months in. We focus on hypertension to validate the concept and demonstrate that the business model works. We have 4 clinics involved, 10 prescribers, 150 patients, and we're billing today on those 4 codes. And what we want to do is whether does our business model work out. Very briefly here, what have we shown over the last 6 months? Improve adherence first. We show that using the connected care platform, we increase adherence by a factor of 5. So that's the first aspect, and that makes doctors very happy. Broad insurance coverage. We have about 15 insurances that we have validated now, including Medicaid, and we've seen so far a reimbursement rate of 96%. We expect that to decrease a little bit based on some other discussions we had, but still, it's nice to start that high. And last but not least, we also see an increased revenue on the provider side. With in average, they get $142 per patient per month, thanks to the connected care platform. And again, this is just for hypertension management. Now, next stage now is to to leverage this commercial pilot, which was a paid pilot, and extend in the US through direct sales to hospitals, but also we are exploring distribution partnership or strategic partnerships with folks that are already in this market. Very quickly about the team, my co-founder and I, we were initially at IMEC, in Belgium. We founded that company 7 years ago. We brought to help us out Jessica. Jessica was an experienced medical device product development expert. She's launched 9 products, set up 5 manufacturing lines, and worked at companies like Kella and Johnson & Johnson. We are surrounded by great, amazing advisors. Ken Nelson, who I'm sure a lot of you know. Ken has basically scaled sales and marketing for cardiac monitoring companies before. Dr. J. Bell, she's with the state of Louisiana Department of Health. She's also a frequent advisor to the White House. She's really helping us navigating that aspect in the US. Dr. Lyell, she's a fellow and a professor at Stanford, and Stephen is helping us with some of the marketing work. I guess I'll stop here. I'm already over time. I'd like to thank you for your time. And if you have any interest to discuss maternal health from multiple aspects, please reach out. I'll be around today. And this is my email also over there. Thank you for your attention.